there is much debate about when to put up Christmas decorations. So I'm interested in learning whether you think the earlier the better. Maybe you've already got them put up, or Thanksgiving or later. Maybe you're a traditionalist and reserve your decorations for after Thanksgiving's over. If you'll pop that into the chat. Oh, I'm seeing a lot of after Thanksgivings. Yeah. Karen already has a wreath on her door. Kenzie's feeling early this year. Me too. I ordered a new Christmas tree and it's supposed to be in on Friday. And I think that it's going to go up this weekend, at least a little bit. It's too big to store anywhere for now. Okay, Caitlin's putting her tree up this week. Yeah, you're right. We do need some extra joy after this past year or even 2 years. Lauren's tree is out of the attic. Yeah. That's all really nice. It gives us something to look forward to. I buy Christmas ornaments when I go on trips, and it's been a while since I traveled. And well, it had been a while since I traveled before going to ESP in Savannah. And last year, I forgot that I had a drawer full of ornaments that I purchased before the pandemic, and they just sat there, and I discovered them when I was cleaning out some drawers. So I've got several years worth of new travel ornaments to put up. Justin, 17 trees? Wow.
Yeah, yes. Now they're all varying in style. Some are ceramic, some are chainsaw carved, some are pencil trees, some are big trees. It's almost like a Dr. Seuss book. That's all. Some are yellow, some are blue, some are red. It's just trees everywhere.
So my question is, where do you store them when it's not the season?
Well, if you saw me at any point during the pandemic, they sat behind me in the basement.
That's a lot of trees, 17. Wow. Okay, well, welcome everyone. We have hit the top of the hour. I'm Lisa Washburn. I am subbing in, well, not subbing in, but I'm a solo act for Chris. I don't have Chris this time because I'm helping to get it set up for a little gathering we're having in honor of Dr. Ann Berry and the national award that she has won. So that's occurring right after our FCS Connect session finishes, and he's involved in that. So I am your hostess today. I'm Lisa Washburn. I'm the extension health specialist in our Family and Consumer Sciences department. So welcome to episode 2 of season 2. So I know you talked about this last time in October, and I missed that particular one because I was on vacation. Reminder of the purpose of FCS Connect, why we did this in the first place and why we're having a season 2. We really just want to strengthen the communication between the state and the county level, create a pathway for regular program updates, help us to all get to know each other and have a little bit more face time, even if it is virtual. So this is the second month of our season this year, and our special guest is the creative content team. So they're going to be chatting with us for a few minutes, and I'm going to turn it over to them. I'll stop share.
All right. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah.
All right. Can everybody see the presentation here?
Yes.
Yeses. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for that introduction, Dr. Washburn. I'm going to get us started off. My name is Chris Miramontes, and I am just one part of the creative content team. Today, we're going to be talking to you guys about capturing creativity for today and tomorrow. And when we talk about today and tomorrow, just don't think about it actually being today and tomorrow, but also next week, next month, even next year. So what we're doing today is going to really affect what we're doing down the road. I've already introduced myself, but other members of the creative content team are Karen Sargent, Joel Clark, and our administrative specialist, Kelsey Crittenden. And so we hope by the end of this presentation that we kind of give you or ask you to redefine what you think it means to be creative. Okay, we have a quote to start off here. We decide what tomorrow will be by what we create today. Again, just don't think about it being tomorrow. Think about it next year, next month, whatever. The creativity we use today will be reflected well into the future. And we're going to start off. I've engaged you guys with a little bit of the chat. I'm going to ask a few questions, and some yes or no questions or yes or no answers is just what we're needing. The first question we want to ask is just, do you see yourself as a creative? Seeing quite a bit of yeses, some no's, I wish I was occasionally. Okay. All right, how about, are you actively aware of how your words and actions could be interpreted differently? Seen a lot of yeses, sometimes. All right, and the last one, have you experienced complicated situations that require you to overcome them? See, a lot of yeses on that one, which is awesome. Okay, if you answered yes to any of these questions, then you have practiced creativity in some form or fashion. Like I said, we're hoping to, by the end of this, you get to redefine what you think it is to be creative, whatever aspect it be, whether it's artistic or even decision-making going forward. And so now I'm going to give it over to Karen. Karen, we can't hear you. Still nothing.
How about now?
There we go.
Okay. Got to be able to shift and change in this day of technology, don't we? Let's try that again. Creativity can enhance efforts of science towards a sustainable future simply by encouraging us to be aware of our own thinking and how it differs from that of others and how it affects all of us. Communicating research-based information like we do can be very difficult because you don't know how the other person is interpreting what it is you're saying. Also, scientific concepts are used differently in different fields. For example, from the perspective of my roles throughout the years, I've seen that people have different ideas of what design and aesthetics are and how important they are and what they do. It's easy for me to forget that the design concepts that I'm trained in are not going to be commonly understood by all the people that I'm communicating to equally. So I often walk the line of either overcomplicating what I'm trying to say or oversimplifying a message, which can really hinder what it is you're trying to communicate. Switch. So we often think that once we get information out there, then people are going to understand it. But there's far more complex things going on in order to create a level of influence that's required to actually make a change in the setting. And that combines several different fields, especially if you're in a setting with people of various educations, cultural experiences, daily environments that they experience that are different from yours, and more. So creativity is now seen as an evolving system, from self-creation to co-creation. The outcome and benefits of creativity are now intended for society as a whole rather than purely as an individual. Did our graphic work there, Chris? So as you can see in that graphic, just depending on how you're looking at it as to what it is you're seeing, and different people have different perspectives. I mean, you need to keep that in mind. Slide 7. The system's understanding of creativity is especially important. This needs to be a cooperative, open-minded process. To not be stifled, it requires a mindset that values and promotes creativity. Next slide. So our system of thought as a team is to strive for everything to be manageable, replicable, and sustainable. We have 3 different, that we want to attain each of those things. So manageable infrastructure and process must be able to be handled by the systems that are in place so that they're not to increase burdens or extra hurdles for the people that are trying to manage things. And then it has to be replicable. The process product must be able to be replicated so that so that quality process can be used consistently and be error-free as much as possible. And also sustainable, because it has to be able to stand the test of time. For example, as a team, CCT has the following mission as it relates to digital impacts. We strive to spread digital literacy, drive collaboration, build internal bridges with leadership, all to help accelerate progress. Our goal in providing digital impact information is to help grow awareness of the influence of technology-driven efforts that we make across the state. So what does this involve? It involves collaboration, which is required in order to work with the systems that are in place and decrease burden on each other. It also requires training, and training is required in order for the system to be replicated by others. And only when those other 2 are in place, whenever those 2 other efforts are in place, are we able to attain and can equip and pivot as necessary in our ever-evolving technological environment. So as the needs of people and the needs of our day-to-day change, we can pivot to meet that need as necessary because we've both collaborated and trained with each other to make those systems be put into place. And now I'm going to turn over to Joel.
Awesome. Can y'all hear me good? Great. Okay. So really, we wanted to spend the rest of kind of this presentation talking about just some practical, tangible ways that this creative, systematic thinking and process that Karen just laid out of being manageable, replicable, sustainable, how that actually has played out in the great work of FCS, especially since COVID, in hopes that this will help jog more creative thinking. And like Chris said, the idea is to look at potentially the work of others and utilize others to create that systematic creative thinking so that we can enhance the programming and footprint going forward. And so we're going to just take a little bit to brag on just several projects, programs, knowledge areas, but in no way, shape, or form is this an all-inclusive look. We know that there is quality work being done everywhere, but I think just graphically, here's some examples that might help show this process. And so we're going to look a little bit at the personal finance teacher training. This is, as a lot of you know and probably have helped with, is a program that's been going on for a while and has taken different forms, and especially recently, because of some of these creative and brainstorming type conversations, is taking a new look and a new feel in order to adapt to where we are today. And so as you can see from this graph, the agents are utilizing things like this internal resource site where all of the coursework and all of the foundational pieces of this program are housed. And so we decided, that is, as part of that framework, we can keep that and build off that in times like now in COVID, where we need to deliver a new updated look and feel for this program in a way that's really going to be accessible to the audience, but also be more manageable and replicable as this program continues to grow, and as the need for this program grows. And so there was PowerPoints and a lot of different PDFs, and the faculty and specialists and agents decided to collaborate and brainstorm of ideas of how this might look, and some cool ways of maybe looking at doing an online course and hosting this via a web and utilizing Zoom. And so they sat down with our team and really started having those creative conversations. They started looking at how can we implement this in a new and different way during COVID, when we might not be able to be face-to-face, and how can we ensure the quality of the program is sustainable? How can we make sure that the system that we create is replicable if we're changing from just constantly doing face-to-face? And so we took some of that older material and kind of gave it a little bit of a new look and feel, and we created a course that now lives in Kate, our e-learning component. And so we've been able to make an interactive course that individuals out in the community can go and experience, since they might not have the same access or time face-to-face with the agents. And so there's a picture of that here on the left under the internal resource site. But we decided that that's not going to be sustainable or manageable long-term if we can't really make sure that the community is engaging with it, and that the agents and the faculty and specialists are getting what they need out of it as well. And so we've made sure, as you can see here on the right, that this is hosted externally. And so the top picture shows us the FCS homepage for the money section of Family Consumer Sciences, the consumer economics. And you can see there that there's a personal finance teacher training tab that directly links them to the page shown below. And so we've been able to have this creative dialogue that has allowed us to say, what does a website look like for personal finance teacher training? Where is a place that we could host coursework, such as this Kate class, but also have them sign up to actually have that interaction face-to-face, even if it's done via Zoom with their different agents and providers across the state. And so they can go to that website and they can get access immediately to Kate as an outside user, but they can also sign up underneath that in that block to schedule a Zoom meeting to continue that training, to make sure they get the certifications and go forward from there. And so I think this shows a really nice holistic picture of the systemic thinking and the creative thought process that can go from, hey, we have this great program, how do we increase the footprint, make it more sustainable, manageable, replicable, but also interactive and new and innovative as we go forward. And so this is just a great example of how we're doing that and continuing to grow this program as technology and creative ideas evolve. And you can go to the next one. There you go. And so we have a couple more highlights that I just wanted to briefly talk through, as I'm sure your brains are already moving and thinking, oh, I've done something similar to that. We wanted to brag a little bit on iCare, and human development team has had a lot of creative thinking about how they can take emotional learning and intelligence and working with school systems and different programs to really engage youth and a broadening audience now on how to learn these crucial human development concepts. And so they had this great creative idea of what if we can do something interactive and have a tangible physical representation in the hands of the people in the community. And so they worked with our team to create some really aesthetically pleasing and fun interactive activity cards. You can see kind of an example of that right there. And then we're now brainstorming ways creatively of how we can play this out on a website, right? And so everybody's digital now. And so how can we host resources? How can we push people to a website to help them navigate these materials there as well? And so again, you start seeing this creative dialogue that is creating some really cool community reaching programs. Community health is another great example. From everything from the new vaccine hesitancy grants that Dr. Washburn and others are participating in, we've been able to utilize new creative processes like enhanced graphic design and Facebook advertising, stuff that historically FCS, especially at UT, has not utilized in the past, but we're able to see a large number of people engage with information from the CDC and from our faculty and specialists, and reach them in a way that face-to-face just wouldn't allow, not only because of COVID, but just simply being able to travel and get in front of people. And so these new creative ideas of utilizing marketing and social media platforms in a way to get information in short snippets to people has really enhanced the footprint of the work for those grants. And also things like the opioid crisis in Prompt, Tennessee, brainstorming ways of which we can, yes, utilize a web-based framework, but also utilize things like webinars and partnering with outside partnerships to deliver quality webinar series to educate the people and the professionals in the community. This is something, again, that this innovative conversation that has allowed us in this time of COVID to really take a different approach, and something that we've already seen to be very effective, and to continue the great work of FCS in the programming, but in a digital and new creative capacity. And finally, I just want to talk a little bit about just social marketing and the great work that's out in the community right now. I know many of you on this call have done something in this realm. Maybe it's a podcast, maybe it's been creating your own social media efforts, or trying to have more of a digital presence online or on YouTube via videos. Maybe it's SnapEd doing food demonstration videos and something that they can send out on the web versus doing something in person in a class. There is countless examples in this third block here of how you all are doing creative thinking and creative work every single day. And so we really wanted to just kind of take home that concept of, to Chris's point earlier, you may not see yourself as, oh, I'm not creative because I'm not artistic, or I can't create a beautiful eye care card that's going to go into different school systems. But you might have a creative idea that says, hey, what about a podcast? Or what about a way that we could make this digital and take this to a different platform over here, because I know people might be able to engage with it better. Those are the systemic creative conversations that we need to be having in order to make it better tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, so that that next generation can benefit from the great creative conversations and work that we've put into place. And so we really wanted to just leave you all with the thought that the more people that see themselves as part of the systems of creating things, the more we can encourage sustainable thinking. And so it's really about this mindset. It's about how we can encourage sustainable thinking, how we can encourage those conversations, that dialogue of creativity, to take our programming and our efforts to the next level, so that we can be impacting people in the community further and better than we ever have before. And so we hope that just through some examples and just understanding kind of how our team thinks and works with faculty, specialists, and agents, that you can start generating that creative thought process yourself, and hopefully work to have a better tomorrow in terms of creatively bringing FCS forward. And that is where we leave off, Dr. Washburn. If we have any questions, we'd be more than happy to take some.
Great. Thank you so much for that presentation. I love the design of your slides. The aesthetic is really nice. Does anyone have questions? I have a question to get us started while others are thinking. When you feel like you've hit just a really, maybe a dry spell on creativity, what types of things can you do to help get your mind thinking fresh again?
I like to take a walk. A lot of times just changing your environment is a really great way of really refreshing your brain, refreshing anything that you can do that refreshes you, refreshes your creativity, because your creativity stems from like a really open place inside of you. So if you're feeling all kind of tied down and sucked into a particular topic or thought process, it really helps to do something different and kind of shake away from it so that when you come back, you feel a little more freedom. Because if you don't have that freedom inside of you, so to speak, then it's going to be really hard to come up with innovative ideas and creative solutions.
And I'll say this too. I think that's a great point, Karen. And I think, changing environment or perception too, as we talked about, is really key. I'm constantly, I'll watch a show like, I don't know if you all have heard of like Shark Tank or different invention shows where they'll show a new innovative idea. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that was so simple. Like, how did I not think of that? And I think just looking somewhere else helps the brain understand what's out there, what's attainable, and that your thought process is not that far off. And so I think, for the great work that we do, maybe it's hopping on YouTube for a little bit and seeing what different types of videos are out there, or what podcasts are out there, or what is this extension university doing, the University of so-and-so's extension doing, just kind of getting other ideas to jog your own creativity, and then taking that space like Karen said, because I think, we all, to our point earlier, we all have that in us. It's just unlocking that thought process. And I think, we put so much pressure as like, well, it has to work. What if it doesn't work? This might not be a good idea. Look out there and see what other people are doing, and then spin off that, because if it's out there, it's doing something. And so it's always good to kind of just think about what others are doing and then how you can make that better.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, Joel, is go out there and talk to people. Even if you think of creativity right now of people who are artistic, go to talk to somebody who's artistic, and then maybe it'll jog their memory or their mind into something, and then they'll talk to you about it, and then both of you guys can figure something out new. That makes sense.
I think it takes a seed of a good idea from somewhere else that could be completely unrelated to spark something in your brain. I think of the conferences that I went to pre-COVID, and I would come back with good ideas, not to replicate a program, but a spark of an idea for something new that I wanted to do, that I may have thought of because of someone else. Are there other questions?
Guess it should say we are always here for that creative nod too. If you need someone to just bounce ideas off of, our team is always interested in your ideas. So always feel free to bounce ideas through us or reach out in any way. If ever you're feeling stuck creatively or just need some sort of a boost in your thinking, a direction to go.
Thanks for that. Okay, any other questions? So hearing none, I'll just kind of put tie a bow on this and say that for you guys who work in the county, all of the times that you're in a situation where things don't quite work the way you think you had planned and you have to pivot, that's creative, where you monitor and adjust, and maybe, something as simple as like having forgotten an extension cord and not being able to plug in equipment, or the room's not set up the way you thought it was going to be. So being able to respond is a form of creativity there. Okay, well, we've got a note from Dr. Devereaux in the chat about a training that's coming up in December that relates to eye care, which was one of the 3 pictures that was shown on one slide. And I'm gonna share my screen now. Okay, so now it's time for any association news and updates. NEA FCS had their annual meeting just last week, and there were a lot of agents and teams who got awards. Does anyone want to plug upcoming deadlines for due submission?
I will. I feel like I'm the squeaky wheel, but your dues are due December 1st if you want to be eligible for awards and recognition. And all the information about that is on the TEA FCS website. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'll help you any way I can. Thanks.
Thanks. Any others?
I will follow up with what Chancey said. You mail those to me. Please read the instructions all the way through so that you get all the information to me. I'm happy to help you, but when somebody doesn't get all the information, there are a lot of you sending me stuff, and that makes it take, extra steps when I have to go back and ask you for more information. So I really do appreciate you reading all the way. Thank you.
Thanks, Patsy. If you've never had to collect dues and keep track of all that, it's a big job. It takes a lot of time. Any other announcements or updates?
Should be receiving your invitation to the ESP Tennessee State meeting in the mail today in your email. So be on the watch for that. It's December 9th.
I was just about to mention that, Karen, because that was so timely. About to hit register.
Okay, well, let's move on to other announcements and requests. I have an other announcement. You all got an email from me an hour or so ago that was a reminder about a Zoom session tomorrow. It's about the Extension Health and Wellness Ambassador Program. That's our Master Health Volunteer Program. And that session will largely focus on plans for the virtual training. We'll have a statewide virtual cohort for counties who choose to offer it in their county. So we'll talk through some of the mechanics of that. It is tomorrow at 10 Eastern, 9 Central Time, and there was a link in that email to sign up in Super if you want, or you can just access the link directly. Other announcements. Hearing none. Our next session is December 16th, and we will hear from our evaluation team. We'll be back to the regular time that session. The regular time is 10 Eastern, 9 Central. So with that, are there any closing comments? You guys have been pretty quiet today. Or questions? We have several of our faculty specialists on today. Well, also hearing none, I do want to say congratulations again to Dr. Ann Berry for her national recognition for extension excellence. It's a very high honor, and we're really proud to have someone representing University of Tennessee Extension to receive that. So I will say, have a great afternoon, and we will see you in December, if not before.